Should you buy Fallout Wasteland Warfare in 2024? Yes, but there's a few things you should know before you throw all your caps at this game. If you're watching this video because you've just finished watching the Fallout show on Prime, welcome, it's great to have you here. Fallout Wasteland Warfare is a tabletop miniatures game that was released in 2018 by Modiphius Entertainment that took the wild, wacky and radioactive world of Fallout and dropped it onto our tabletops. Now in the game you build your forces from some of the most well-known factions in Fallout lore and you'll battle it out for supremacy over the Wasteland. You can duke it out with the Gunners, take on the martial might of the Super Mutants, and even go toe-to-toe with Deathclaws. You can create your own settlements, playing out a campaign where you earn caps after every fight to add and expand to your settlement and get upgrades and new settlers and equipment. You can play out awesome narrative scenarios and even get your hands on miniatures for some of the most iconic characters from the game, like Liberty Prime. Fallout Wasteland Warfare can be played competitively, cooperatively, or as a solo game experience where you'll play against an AI of sorts. Now, this is the starter set for the game and contains pretty much everything you'll need to get started. There are some super mutants in here, some settlers including Nora, the Soul Survivor, and Dogmeat. There are rulers which you use to measure movement, cards which contain all of the info on characters, and items which we'll chat about later, and the rulebooks. Speaking of the rulebooks, and you should know this right from the outset, from the outside looking in, this can be an intimidating game to play, and the rulebooks don't help things much. Since launch, there's been consistent feedback that the rulebooks are kind of confusing. You'll bunny hop from section to section, from start to end, just to get a simple answer to a question, but if you do ever feel lost, don't worry, the community for this game is one of the best things about it. And there's not only an incredibly supportive Facebook group, which I'm in, but Modiphius also have an official Discord where you can find out more about the game, ask questions about rules and all that sort of thing. But if you are just starting out and you are trying to figure out how to play your first game, I've also made a video explaining just that, and you can find it in the top right of the screen. Or it's going to be linked down in the video description as well. But that's not the only warning you should have before you jump into this game. Fallout Wasteland Warfare has been out since 2018. That's 6 years of releases, errata, cards, and as such, it can be hard to know where to start and what you need to buy to start playing the game. I've got a buyer's guide just for that reason, top right, but it can be expensive keeping up with everything. You see, when you buy a box of miniatures, you also need the character cards for those minis in order to play them because they don't come inside the box. Instead, for earlier waves, they came in card boxes, and in later waves, they came in books, which were themed for the waves. Over time, this can be pretty expensive, but there's an app for the game which was made by a community member and has since been made the official app for the game, where you can either digitally purchase the card waves or do what I do and pay $2.99 a month to get access to every card that's ever been released for the game. If money is tight that month, sometimes I'll just purchase a month's subscription before I go to play a game, and then just cancel before it renews. For me, the app is just a much more cost-effective way of playing the game, and it saves me space from storing all of the cards, and space in the garage workshop is kind of at a premium at the minute. But not everything is doom and gloom about this game. After all, this is a game I recommended that you should buy. The game is still being heavily supported, with new releases coming every quarter or so. The releases cover quite a few of the games and factions in the franchise, from the Legion and NCR in Fallout New Vegas, to Riley's Rangers in Fallout 3, to the Railroad and even the Children of Atom from Fallout 4. When it comes to gameplay, you can play the game as just a straight up deathmatch and just set a points limit between you and your opponent, but where it really shines is in narrative scenarios. If you play games like Warhammer or some other war games, you should know that you're not going to be fielding as many units as you would there. In fact, it's entirely normal for you to field less than half the amount of miniatures that you'd find in a combat patrol in a game of Wasteland Warfare. And that's a really good thing, because the minis are pretty expensive. There are a ton of components to this game, hundreds of items and possible combinations, which means there is a ton of playability to it. And when it comes to playtime, thanks to the fact that you don't need to field more than 10 miniatures each in most games, and the fact that if you're playing a scenario, they usually only last a maximum of 5 rounds, a lot of them only last 3, you'll usually find a game can be played in about an hour or two once you know what you're doing. When it comes to player count, the ideal is 2, however some scenarios support more players. If you are trying to include more people, you could split your force and play 2 people a side, but as you add more players and factions to a scenario, it can add quite a bit of time to the playtime needed to play the game. So don't be surprised if most scenarios out there are suited for 2 players. I have worked on a scenario that is up to 5, and I can tell you, it's a long game. Honestly, with Wasteland Warfare and Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, which is Modiphius' tabletop game set in the world of Elder Scrolls, the cost barrier has been quite the drawback for some people, and it's important to know that before you dive straight in. Equally, I'd encourage you to see if you can find people in your area to play with before going headfirst too. Since this game came out, I've seen a few sales posts of people selling up their collection solely because they've had no one to play with. Now for me, I really enjoy the solo mode. I love playing the game with others too, but definitely put the feelers out there before you purchase this if you're looking to play this with other people. This game is a ton of fun, and I absolutely love playing it. You don't need a ton of miniatures to play the game. The miniatures are of incredible quality, and if you're a fan of the Fallout games, I think you'll find a great fit here. Plus, the miniatures can double up and be used in the Fallout tabletop role-playing game that Modiphius produced too. So would I recommend it? Absolutely. If you're a fan of the Fallout series, enjoy deep strategic gameplay, and are willing to invest both time and money into a complex but rewarding game, then yes, Fallout Wasteland Warfare is a great choice for you. And if you want to pick up the game for yourself, you can use code MisfitHobbies on the Modiphius web store to get 10% off as a little treat for making it to the end of the video. If you do, it helps the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Aside from that, maybe this video will be a little bit of help in helping you in your Fallout Wasteland Warfare journey, and I'll see you next time.